Oh hi, hello there, Montubor here. In this episode, I'll be taking you back to school, or to be precise, the street that will take us to school. Stay tuned. I grew up in Shillong, Meghalaya, and also studied here. I cannot express how much I long my school days. I see these streets again and walk them pretending I'm going back to school. Particularly DonBosco Square, where most of the school's exit and entry divert to one point. It's not just a street, it's the memory, the laugh, the smile, the gags, the fight, the romance that sees on the opposite side of the road. I hope you know what I mean. DonBosco Square in Shillong is renowned and is unique. It owes its name to the statue of DonBosco, educator and friend of youth, bearing testimony to the academic ambience as most of the premier schools and colleges located in the vicinity of this place. This square is the most happening place in the capital, being the epicenter of student activity, not only of the academic kind, but also normal pursuits of youth beyond the realm of the classroom. This square has witnessed rhapsody in equal measures over both outstanding examination results and achievements in the sports and cultural arena, unity on students' protest, and temporary acrimony during students' union election and ending in heartbreaks. Healthy rivalry between students of different institutions in studies, sports. I'll be painting on a pre-primed burnt umber 16-inch by 20-inch canvas. I start directly by sketching the major outlines of the buildings of St. Anthony's Junior School. I check the angles to an approximate proper scales because buildings and blocks like roads, bridges and statues are all about geometry. In painting, we exactly don't need the shapes, but a gesture will do. I use a mixture of burnt umber and titanium white as my sketch color for the outlines. In this painting, I needed an engaging composition, so I divert the viewer's eye towards the road that leads to Dankiti by closing the angles from both sides of St. Anthony's Junior School and St. Anthony's Higher Secondary School. Then I divert the vector towards a tree whose tip points directly towards the Shillong Peak Hill. With the help of clouds, I then divert the viewer's eye towards the tip of the tower in the rooftop of St. Anthony's Junior School, which leads to the statue of DonBosco, which in turn leads us back to the road that leads to Dankiti. This cyclic vector effect will make the viewer engaged in the painting for quite some time. At least, that's what I believe. As soon as my sketch is over, I start with the furthest object in the frame, which is the sky. I block in the canvas with a mixture of cobalt blue, titanium white and a pinch of burnt umber for desaturation. I use a dagger 10 brush for this blocking in. In the beginning stage, I am not worried about the shapes but the values and the tones only. My major goal is to cover the canvas as fast as possible, maintaining the major values and tones. And yes, I was talking on the phone when I was painting, if that's the question you have on your mind. For the clouds, I simply use titanium white with desaturated blue of orange mix, which is basically grey. Next comes the distant hill, Shillong Peak. Green light and yellow light does not travel far in an atmosphere, so the dominant color, that is the sky blue, which is the reflection of the sky itself, comes forward. Hence the distant hills appears bluish green with hazy milky touch. This is merely a combination of desaturated ultramarine blue with a little deep green and a titanium white mixed in it. As the hill comes forward, I add saturations of green and deepen the values. The tree that sits near the building on the right side will have more saturation and value than the distant vegetation on the hills, in which I use sap green desaturated with a bit of crimson red. I tried to play with the shadows and lights in the distant hills, in which the clouds shaded most of the hills will be darker, with its complementary colors for green being red. But here it's bluish green, so I carefully added red bit by bit to achieve the desired shade. And in the open, where the sun is exposed, I used titanium white and cadmium yellow in the mix of bluish green to give the trees its light for photosynthesis. I get carried away by science sometimes. As the painting progresses, the space gets smaller, hence I use smaller brushes like 5 dagger and 2 dagger. For the distant trees in the hills, to get the desired effect, I use 4 bristle and 2 bristle. For blocky rectangular structures, I use flat brushes of varying sizes from 1 flat to even 4 flats. The sunlit areas exposed are basically warmer, so to the dominant colors I add titanium white and a bit of cadmium yellow to bring the warmth in the color. The shaded areas are cool, and hence I added cooler colors to the respective mix, like ultramarine blue. I have left out a pine tree right next to the DonBosco statue, towards the right of the statue, which I will layer at the later stages of the painting. If I have not mentioned earlier, I'm using acrylic paints and the medium is water. Why? It's easy and cheap for me. Careful, I am not detailing each and every corner of the building, just a suggestion of paints that shows something is there. For the blue wall in the Anthony School left side, I use a desaturated blue mixture of cobalt teal and orange and a milky touch of titanium white. These walls are desaturated ultramarine blue bent to grayscale with orange in the mix with a milky touch of white again. The tar-coated roads are painted with dominant titanium white with desaturated ultramarine blue and orange, which is grey, with a little yellow in it for the warmth of the sun-exposed areas. I painted the roads in the strokes of the direction in which car travels with flat 1 to 3 brushes, exchanging them accordingly. And so my blocking in is complete, and I go back to the skies and redefine the color and the shapes, painting the furthest first and coming to the foreground in zones gradually. This is the modeling stage in which I bring the colors to life, with a bit more tones and saturation to show through. The colors remain the same, but it has more pigment and is more saturated. All I do here is adjust the shapes and the edges of the building structures, roads, walls, and the stones and the bricks that make up the walls. I use relatively smaller brushes like 1 flat and 2 flat, 1 round and 0 round for achieving the desired result. Most of the building structures, billboards, the bus stand, traffic police signs, and lights have been omitted. As an artist, we have the freedom to move around objects and delete things we don't want in the frame for better engagement and to bring about a better painting. As I have mentioned earlier, I painted this tree towards the later stages of my painting, layering on top of the pre-painted building. As the object is very close to the viewer, the tones and the values are darker and has its saturation at its peak comparatively to the other objects in the background. This dark color is a combination of burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Last but not the least, the statue of Don Bosco, educator and friend of youth. I did not detail the statue, but leave suggestive marks so as the viewer can read and fill in his imagination to complete the picture. And with the 3 M's, the painting is complete. We cannot stay here, we gotta keep moving, but when we are lost, look back to see our roots so we may find ourselves again. I hope this painting has put you in thoughts. I'd like that. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with your friends. And do subscribe for more videos on painting. Until next time, get creative.